Today we're going to be installing a Cantaloupe ePort Engage G10/G11 credit card reader. So here's the part number. We're going to be installing this on an Azkoyen Zensia coffee machine. So this is what the part number is. This is the model of the machine. And here is the stock location for the credit card reader. The holes don't line up, so we're gonna have to drill into it with a template, so I'll show you guys that. And so let's get started. First thing we're gonna do is remove the hoppers to give us some working room. Once the hoppers are removed, I'm gonna start by removing the back panel and loosening up the two side panels. That way we can gain access to all the wires. Next, this little plate right here, it's going to be in our way whenever we go to drill the new holes, so it's not really needed. So I take a flathead screwdriver here and just punch it on out. Once this is punched out, throw it in the trash. And now we're going to jump to the new device. So there's a bunch of wires here. So we have an Ethernet cable with USB that we're not going to use, so we're going to set that aside. We have the MPC4 cable, which we are going to use. We have the card reader itself. We have a DEX cable, which we're not going to use, so we'll set that aside. We have an extension cable, which we need, the antenna, the mounting bracket with the hardware. And so I'm just going to put the DEX cable and the USB/Ethernet cable away along with the paperwork, because we will not be needing that. So this is what the new card reader looks like. It has all these ports. The only two ports we're going to use is that one for the antenna and then the power cable right there. All the other ports we're not going to use for our configuration. So now I'm just going to start prepping things. So I'm going to plug the extension cable into the MPC4 cable. I'm going to unpack the antenna, unpack the bracket, unpack the hardware. There's two different size screws here. One's long and skinny, the other one's fat and long. So now we're going to place the template. So the holes don't line up, so I just cover the template of the old layout. That way we don't have this excess holes just showing after the install is done. After I put the template, what I like to do is place some painter's tape over the mixing bowls. That way whenever we drill, we're not getting metal shavings down in the mixing bowls, and we're going to avoid people getting metal shavings in their coffee. So now I'm going to use a 9/64 pilot bit to drill my holes. Then I'm going to step that up to a 15/64 bit to make the holes bigger for the screws to fit in. And then last, we're going to use a step bit, and we're going to drill a hole in the back of the machine for the antenna. But right now we're going to use a 9/64 pilot drill bit. Now that's done, I'm going to move to the 15/64 and I'm going to make it bigger. And now that that's done, we're going to go to our step bit and we're going to drill a hole to fit the stud of the antenna. And the hole we're going to be going for is that one. It's the bottom left hand hole next to the square punch out plate. So I'm going to take my step bit here and we're going to drill to 5/8 depth. That way it'll be big enough to slide the antenna into, and then we can bolt it in after the fact. So I get it from the front and the back. And then after that, I take my deburring tool and get off all the sharp edges We don't want to cut ourselves. Safety first. So after that, we're going to run our antenna. So just snake it on in there. Push it on in. What I like to do is pull on the cord while also tightening the nut. That way it stays in place. I'm going to run the cables along with the other wires in the machine. That way it's a nice clean look whenever we're finished. Just going to run the antenna. Now we're going to use the MPC4 cable. We're going to plug it into the machine side, and then we're going to stick the other side out of the door right next to the antenna. So now we're going to mount the credit card reader. So the trick is we are going to have to slip the cords through the bracket first, then attach the cords to the credit card reader, and once the cords are attached to the credit card reader, we will then attach the bracket to the credit card reader, and then we're going to attach all of that to the front of the machine. What I like to do here for the antenna is it's real small. I'll spin the credit card reader in a circle until it's tight. So now we have the cords through. There's 4 holes. We're gonna use the long skinny screws, and there's 4 holes, so we're going to just put them on in there. What I like to do is just tighten one, that way it doesn't move, and then I'll go ahead and do the rest. So now it's time to use the fat screws to actually affix the entire unit to the front of the door. Once I have the first 2, then I do the last 2, and now that it's solid and in place, I'm going to run the antenna just a little bit, and then I'm going to start screwing the panels back into place. Okay, now I'm going to take my shop vac and vacuum up all the metal shavings caused by the drilling. Make sure to vacuum up behind yourself. Don't want to leave a mess for the clients. So now I'm going to put the back plate back on. And now I'm going to zip tie all the wires in place to give it a nice clean look. That way they're out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and remove the painter's tape because it served its purpose. We're going to put our hoppers back, turn the machine on. After the hoppers are back, we're going to turn all the elbows back down towards the mixing bowls. We're going to run a rinse cycle to get rid of all the powder, and then we're going to test the credit card reader. It says it was approved, and we're good to go. Install complete. Good job, everyone.